Hey fellow explorers, in this video we're going to be tackling one of the world's most iconic drives, the route from San Francisco to Los Angeles in California, with a little bit of San Diego thrown in there. And I get so many questions from people that are preparing to drive this route. People ask me, Chris, what time of year should I go? How long should I take on the drive? Where should I stop? What should I see? Should I start from San Francisco? Should I start from Los Angeles? And then where should I go once I'm done with California? Those and many others are some of the topics we're going to cover in this video. Now, San Francisco and Los Angeles are two great cities in California, just 400 miles apart, and you could easily do the drive in 6 hours without traffic or stopping. But we're going to talk about making it an iconic California road trip and stretching it out to a much more enjoyable pace. For the first part of this video, I'm going to go through 5 major things you should know to answer 5 of those major questions, and then we're going to dive in the map and spend a lot of time on routes and stops and cities and things to see as you go. All right, so the first thing I want to dive into is about when is the best time to go. And California, definitely a state that has all 4 seasons, although along the coast, the winter can be pretty mild. Springtime, March to May, which is about the time I'm recording this video, really great for wildflowers. You'll find fewer crowds, usually, though there will be a little bit of rain in that season. Summertime, June, July, August, probably the most popular time to go. That's when the most people are going to be on the roads. People love the beaches in California. You're going to have, it's going to be warmer, but you're going to have the potential, if you're on the coast, for coastal fog. We have this thing in California called June gloom. So if you come in June, don't always expect the beaches to be all that clear in the morning. And you're going to have the highest hotel prices and most amount of tourist traffic. Fall, I think from September to October, has some of the actual best weather. Summer can be a little bit too hot. You got that June gloom. You don't get it in the fall. A little bit cooler, clear skies, less fog, nice beaches, uncrowded, all to yourself. Winter, November to February, cold for California, higher chance of rain and road closures, especially in the Big Sur area, although you'll often have the hotels and accommodations all to yourself because less people are going about the drive at that time. So I'd recommend fall or spring if you're wondering when you should go. All right, the second thing to know to plan your trip is how long do you need? And I told you, you could do the drive in 6 hours along the Interstate 5 from San Francisco to LA, but, here we're talking about road trips. So road trip, you gotta spend at least 1 night overnight, 2 days. I would consider that to be a pretty rushed trip. I think a good pace is to spend 3-4 days to allow for some key stops. And if you really want to enjoy it, then spend 5 to 7 days. You can have time for deeper exploration, relaxation, take some potential detours, some things you didn't plan. Don't underestimate the driving time, though. Like, you might look at these things and be like, they're pretty close together, particularly if you're taking the Pacific Coast Highway along the coast, particularly through Big Sur. Things are going to take a lot longer than you expect due to a little bit windy, twisty roads, due to traffic, due to crowds, and just due to things that you're going to want to stop and pull out and look at the view. So allocate plenty of time for the drive. The third thing to know before you plan your route is about the primary route options. And so certainly the most famous is the Pacific Coast Highway, and I'm going to bring up the map here. The Pacific Coast Highway is the route that takes you along the coast from San Francisco all the way down here to San Diego to the Mexican border with Tijuana. That is known as the Highway 1, Pacific Coast Highway. Now, there's a highway just in from that that's known as the 101. Sometimes the 1 and the 101 share their routes. You can't see what I just drew. Now you can see what I just drew. That's the Pacific Coast Highway right there. And so then just in from the Pacific Coast Highway, this route right here, this is the 101. That parallels it right down there. But you can see there are some faster stretches. 101, good to know because the roads in Big Sur often closed. Big Sur is like this area right here. This is Big Sur. beep. And just because it like hugs the coast, sheer cliffs, a lot of road closures in the winter, and so 101 is often a detour. You'll have to go around that. The fastest way to get between San Francisco and Los Angeles, the one that's going to take you 6 hours without traffic, that's down the Interstate 5. That's right here down the center, and then down to San Diego that way. One that I really enjoy, particularly if you're going in February for the almond blossoms, is one through California's farmland, which is the Highway 99. That's this one right here. That'll take you through places like Modesto, Fresno, Bakersfield, home of country music in California. And if you're more of a mountain person, you can take another route, which is the Highway 395, that basically like originates up here in Lake Tahoe. And then you can take that on the backside of the mountains and kind of drop down one of those routes to get into the Los Angeles area. Okay, so now that you know the general major routes, we're probably going to spend most of our time talking about these coastal ones here, the 1 and the 101, because those are the ones that most people tend to take when they think about driving from San Francisco to Los Angeles and then onwards to San Diego. Okay. The fourth thing to know is about cars. If you are not driving your own car and you're renting a car, should you do a one-way rental? Should you take the rental and take it back to San Francisco or Los Angeles to where you start? I am definitely a big fan of one-way rentals. San Francisco is a big major airport. Los Angeles is a big major airport. So you can fly in a one, you can pick up a one-way rental car at San Francisco, and you can drive it down to Los Angeles or San Diego, drop your car off there, and then fly home. Or continue on to Vegas, continue on to Phoenix, wherever you're going, and then fly home from one of those places. Should you get an SUV or a sedan or a convertible? I don't really recommend the convertible. On the highway, on the freeway, you're not really going to want that top down. There's just too much wind, frankly. It's definitely a classic, but it's not really a practical suggestion. The great part about having a sedan or a car is a trunk, so people can't see your luggage back there. But boy, if you got a lot of people, SUV sure can be comfortable. If you are planning to do San Francisco at the beginning or Los Angeles at the beginning, you might want to consider not having a car for your first couple days. You can explore those cities car-free. San Francisco's a lot better car-free than Los Angeles is, and then pick up your car as you head out on your adventure. I would recommend you definitely download your offline maps in Google Maps or whatever your driving app is so that you don't get stuck if you've got some spotty coverage and no cell phone service. And finally, before we get into the map, the video's not over. It's a long video. But finally, of my first 5 things you know before we get into the map is about hotels. A lot of great hotels along the route. A lot of classic hotels. I'd recommend. I'm a big Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton kind of guy, but there's a lot of cool, like iconic hotels here, like the Padre Hotel in Bakersfield. So I would suggest you kind of like maybe get out from the major booking. What's the word I'm looking for? Get out of the major booking companies or the major chains and look at some of the classic, iconic, singular hotels that you might have to get away from the big 3 to book. If you are going to some of the popular coastal towns along the beach, really consider booking those out 4 to 6 months in advance. Many people book their beach vacations quite ahead of time. In addition to hotels, you'll certainly find the classic motel, the one you can just drive up your car right in front of the door. Convenient if you're just coming or going. Plenty of Airbnbs, plenty of campgrounds along the route too. Okay, I want to get into the map and work you through segment by segment about the drive. But before I do that, I want to hit a couple of comments from the chat. Let's go ahead. The Wu-Tang Life says, be careful and don't take your car to Tijuana. You may never see it again. If you are taking a rental car into Tijuana, you will need separate rental car insurance to do that. So what many people do if they're planning to visit Tijuana is actually not drive their car into Tijuana, but just drive their car to the California side of the border in San Diego, in a city called San Ysidro. They park their car there and then they walk across the border. If you were going to go into Mexico as part of this drive, my recommendation would be to drive past Tijuana and go into Ensenada. Ensenada is a much more relaxing town than Tijuana is. Benny says, are there EV charge stations along the PCH? You will find plenty of EV charge stations, maybe not as many through Big Sur. Big Sur is definitely kind of a big black hole for EV charging, but the rest of the route, you'll find a lot of EV charge stations. And Danielle also points out that along the PCH, especially Malibu, can be closed in the winter due to mudslides when it does rain. The Grapevine, the I-5 can also be closed, both sides during the winter due to snow by the California Patrol. Great tips, Danielle. I'll point those spots out as we dive into the map. And Patrick says, do you have any hotels you've stayed at or recommend on Planet? Patrick, thanks for the tip. When this is the archive, if you're watching this a little later, I will absolutely drop Planet link in the description to some of my favorite hotels. I have stayed in a number on this route. In particular, one of my favorite stops is in Santa Barbara. So I definitely have a recommendation of I think it was the Hotel Virginia that we stayed at in Santa Barbara last time. The Doubletree in Santa Barbara, that's kind of like right along the beach, is nice too. But I'll build out a better list for that for people who are watching the archive. Or if you're watching this live stream, come back maybe tomorrow and you can find that link in the description. Okay, let's go drink. Let's go drink some tea before I dive into the map. What is Chris drinking today? Chris today is drinking Baco tea, new boba tea place that opened up in Santa Ana, California. What is this drink I have? This is the Phoenix Oolong tea. All right, pretty good. I like it. Good tea taste. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead now and we're gonna dive into the map right here. And here, looking at California, we're gonna go ahead and zoom into San Francisco. And before we dive into the PCH, the thing that I wanna tell you that you actually might wanna recommend, before you just drive south from San Francisco, some things you might wanna think about visiting. You might wanna think about visiting the wine regions of Napa and Sonoma. So San Francisco is down here, where the circle is. And if you kind of like drive out north of there, then you can go to Sonoma and you can go to Napa. Those are the famous wine regions. There's some cool kind of like farm areas that are out here on your way to Sacramento. And then if you continue onwards along the 80 or along the 50 here, 50? Is that what that's? Yeah, the 50, then you can get to Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe, this lake that's up here, is definitely one of California's big attractions. I've got a whole video about Lake Tahoe. Great snowing, skiing. The Winter Olympics were there in Lake Tahoe, so that's pretty popular in the winter. If you are driving in the winter and you're going into the mountain areas with snow, you will need chains on your tires. If it's been snowing quite a bit, they will have chain checkpoints that they'll check that out. And if you want to know more about driving with chains in California, I've got a whole video driving in the snow in Lake Tahoe. You can search for that, Yellow Productions, and you'll find all about that. But that would be a good route if you are more interested in the mountains and then you want to take the 395 down. Okay, but assuming you're not, or you're doing that, and then you might come back to the BCH, you could definitely do that. But from San Francisco now, if we look at going south from San Francisco, we're gonna zoom in more. Okay, so you can see in San Francisco right here, we've got the 1, which is this route right here. And then you would say like Pacific Coast Highway. If you were gonna do that, you would drive like out here to the coast and you would drive this route that is along the coast and go down. And then you can also see the 101 is that route down there. You can see the little 1 picks up right there. Okay. So going south from San Francisco, assuming you're taking the coastal route along the coast, it's a really beautiful drive along the coast just this way. Lots of great views, lots of great viewpoints to check out. Not a lot of food. If you were interested in food, then the 101 is better this way. If you kind of take the 101 around this way, something that's fun over here is you're gonna find, the home of like Google, you're gonna find the home of Apple. You can actually like, if we search, well, I don't even know we need to search for it. If we just come on here and we look for Cupertino, let's zoom in and see if Cupertino fills up, and try to find the Apple on the map. Oh, this is dangerous now. This is testing my geography, which Sunnyvale, Cupertino. Here we go. Here's the big circle. It's really easy to find Apple's headquarters because it's the gigantic circle, Apple Park. And they have a neat Apple store that you can go to right here. This is one of like the coolest Apple stores around. So if you're a computer geek at all, definitely make a stop over at Apple's headquarters. Okay. Other airports you can fly into if you're flying into San Francisco, there's San Francisco International Airport, which is right up here. You'll find Oakland Airport over in Oakland, and then you'll also find San Jose Airport that's down here in the south. So 3 airports that serve the region to begin your journey. Okay, so driving then down along the coast, kind of a cool stop that people often stop at to admire the coast along the way is Half Moon Bay right here. We've got some cool beaches that are in this area. Like you can see Dunes Beach. You can see kind of what that looks like right there. Pretty iconic. Good stop for food along the way south. Now, if we're continuing onwards south, the next like big stop on the way south is going to be the city of Santa Cruz. Right here. Santa Cruz, really kind of like a hippie city that feels like it's stuck in the 1970s. You might have recently watched our Santa Cruz vlog. We like to head up there for kind of like weekend getaways from Southern California. From the Bay Area or from San Jose, you can take this Route 17 this way to come in if you chose to come in that way instead of the one. Santa Cruz is famous for its old school beach boardwalk. What does the beach boardwalk look like? Well, if we zoom in to Santa Cruz, you can see Santa Cruz has a big sandy beach right here. And on the sandy beach, they have the Santa Cruz boardwalk. This is considered to be one of the USA's coolest, most iconic beachfront amusement parks. Coney Island certainly made them famous, but Santa Cruz has a really good one that has this really old school wooden roller coaster. Lots of rides out there. Nope, it's open seasonally. So like in the summer it's open every day, but in the winter it's only open on the weekends. So definitely check to make sure they're open. If you want to go to that, plan your trip around days that's actually open. They've also got this cool thing here, the Santa Cruz Wharf. That's a big long pier that you can drive out on that has restaurants, things like that, and you can even like park your car on it. So that is cool too. So there's a comment in the chat, Point Charlie says, isn't the boardwalk damaged? The wharf is damaged, not the boardwalk, and it's only the the tip of the wharf that's damaged. So everything in the boardwalk up here in the amusement parks is all open for business. And it doesn't affect any of the restaurants that's on the wharf, but they're figuring out how they repair this thing. Okay. So Santa Cruz could be a good overnight stop to stop there. We stayed at the Hyatt Place in Santa Cruz. And again, if you're watching the archive, I'll drop a plan link in the description with our favorite hotels along the way that we've stayed at. We also stayed at the, it's a strange name. It is, what's the name of it? Oh, I can't remember the name of the Paradox, the Hotel Paradox Autograph Collection in Santa Cruz. Okay, continuing on. Two things we also enjoy in Santa Cruz. There's a cool place called the Mystery Spot where you like stand in this house and it looks like gravity is kind of weird. And then we also like the Henry Cowell Redwood State Park up here. Some great hiking up there. And then there's a cool steam train that you can take up in the mountains from this town of Felton. Okay, so continuing on south along this route from Santa Cruz, the next big city stop is going to be over here, the kind of like combined towns of Seaside, Monterey, Pebble Beach, and Carmel by the Sea. I say combined towns. They all have their own unique vibes to them, but Seaside really is I would call it the like rural suburbia of Monterey. Monterey is the big industrial town around here that was famous for like a big fishing industry. There's a big canning industry. There's this place in Monterey called Cannery Row, and definitely in this area right here where they used to can a lot of fish, but right at the edge of it is the Monterey Bay Aquarium. This is one of the world's best aquariums. They're particularly known for their sea otters over here. So that's a great stop if you've got kiddos or you just like aquatic life. And Monterey also has its own big pier right here, or wharf as they call it, that has a lot of, well, there's a few parts of it. This one kind of has more of the industrial fishing stuff. This one over here has the restaurants and shops on it. A couple of places that I've eaten at on here. Let's see if this fills in. Does this fill in to tell you the name of the places? Whoa! Oh, this is cool. Let's get this in. This gets us in really close. Oh, this is neat. I've never zoomed this far in on Google Earth. Yeah, so Abalonetti right here is a pretty good spot. And then also, let's see, coming over this way, this way, this way, this way. This spot right here and this kind of like yellow thing is pretty good too. The yellow thing, the Old Fisherman's Grotto, is a cool restaurant as well. One of the things they specialize in is cioppino, which is a Italian seafood style soup. Points Traveler wants to correct my pronunciation of Carmel or Carmel. I pronounce it Carmel, but if somebody has a correction for me as to how it's really pronounced, please help out a fellow explorer. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom out from there. Oh, did it? I'm annoyed when Google Earth does this, and they spin around the world. So you're like, the way that I was used to looking at it, north wasn't north anymore. So we're gonna put north back again to the top. There we go. Okay, so that's the way we were looking at this. All right, so back here, so Monterey has a lot of, I would call it like inexpensive hotels. Okay, look, they're not cheap. Along the coast of California, nothing's cheap, but you'll find cheaper things in Monterey. Okay, so then between Monterey and Carmel by the sea. Carmel is a very high-end, expensive community, so if you want to stay in Carmel, it's going to be really expensive. But there is Pebble Beach right here. And Pebble Beach is a famously super expensive community, and it does have a coastal road that you can drive through. And this coastal road is called the 17-mile drive. And if you want to drive on the 17-mile drive through Pebble Beach, it is a privately owned toll road. It will cost you $12.25 to drive the 17-mile drive. Although if you eat at one of the restaurants in Pebble Beach, and you spend at least $35, they will reimburse you the toll driving through there. The iconic thing to see in Pebble Beach along the 17-mile drive is going to be the lone cypress. There is this one cypress tree that is out here on the coast. That is the thing that as people drive, everybody stops to look at that cypress tree. Soham says, Chris, I have a super important life-changing question. Are there any In-N-Out burgers along this route? Yes, we'll find plenty of In-N-Out burgers along this route, although I will say a lot of these coastal towns are sadly devoid of a lot of In-N-Out burgers. Like the 101, full of In-N-Out burgers. The I-5, full of In-N-Out burgers. The Pacific Coast Highway, definitely going to be less of them, but the good news, as you can see right here on this screen, is right here in Monterey. This is going to be like, or in Seaside technically, this is going to be like your last In-N-Out burger stop before you get into Big Sur, for there's a whole lot of nothing. So I would recommend, if you weren't doing an overnight in Santa Cruz, to at least do an overnight over here in the Monterey, Carmel, Seaside area, because then as you continue on, you can see this begins the Big Sur area that has a whole lot of nothing. I mean, a whole lot of beautiful views, but really a whole lot of nothing. This is definitely the point that you are going to want to have your offline maps downloaded, because you're going to be looking at pretty views and hoping that you can get around. This is also the area that's closed quite a bit. So one of the famous attractions here is the Bigsby Creek Bridge. And we'll go ahead and do that. And so that's closer to the beginning here. But this bridge, do I get any pictures of it? This bridge. Why is it such a tiny picture? Learn more in Google Maps. Google Maps, will you help me with that Bigsby Creek Bridge? Okay. There's like a better picture of it right there. But yeah. So this is like one of the coolest bridges that's around there. So definitely spend your time checking that one out. Snap some photos of it. Okay. So when you, if you want to stay in Big Sur, there are a couple of hotels. There's like the Post Inn, and there's a Hyatt affiliate that's in there too. Alelia. I can never pronounce it. It is a like 21 and up hotel, but because of the limited lodging, booked in advance, get your food in advance, because there's not a ton through there. Okay, so you pick up civilization again at the end of Big Sur, starting in San Simeon here. And in San Simeon, the big attraction in San Simeon, in front of the William Randolph Hearst Memorial Beach Pier, coming up this way, is Hearst Castle. There's this Hearst Castle Visitor Center, and then up here. Up here on the hill is Hearst Castle. So William Hearst built this gigantic house of his that's called Hearst Castle because the place just frankly looks like a castle. And I'll give us the spin on this so that like you can appreciate how it looks from the different angles. What button do you think I click on on my mouse to like click and drag? This one, this one, this one, this. Oh, there we go. There's the spin as we zoom out. Woo! Okay, hopefully they didn't make you all dizzy. But that's Hearst Castle. You take guided tours of Hearst Castle. You park down at that visitor center, and then you they bus you up there to the top. Okay. And Points Traveler says about the Hyatt, it's really expensive. It's really expensive. Yeah, the Hyatt in Big Sur is like $1,000 a night or something like that. So what most people would probably do on their journey is not overnight in Big Sur. What most people would do is they would overnight in Monterey, and then Santa Cruz, Monterey, my recommendation, overnight in Monterey, and then continue down this way, and then overnight as we continue a little further on. There's a town of San Simeon where now you can start to find restaurants and things like that. You get this little seaside beach town of Cambria. You know, potentially you could find some limited lodging over there. But then as you get down into Morro Bay, you'll find some more kind of like beachfront hotel over here. But if you're looking for like inexpensive hotels again, then you will find those in the town of San Luis Obispo right here. And so you can see this is also a spot where the 1 this way and the 101 actually intersect to become one. So both those routes join right here. So San Luis Obispo is a great stop for food, restaurants, hotels. There is a really funky hotel in San Luis Obispo known as the Madonna Inn. Kitschy rooms with unique decor and a 45-foot waterfall. If we look at the Madonna Inn here, if their website actually comes up from this link. Open, load. Okay, you're not going to load. Open in Google Chrome, and back to Google Earth. And this button. All right. Yeah, it's a really unique hotel. If you want to stay in a hotel that is unlike other hotels you've stayed in, then definitely consider staying here at the Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo. You want something cheaper? You'll find a courtyard and all that stuff too. One of my favorite things to eat around this area is tri-tip. Tri-tip is kind of like California style barbecue. The tri-tip is grilled over a wood barbecue, put on generally a sandwich, and really popular downtown San Luis Obispo, which is around here, the downtown historic district. There is a restaurant called the Firestone Grill that is like the place to stop for tri-tip sandwiches. So like if you like tri-tip, if you like beef, if you like barbecue, put this one, make a circle around it, and then put some exclamation marks around it, because that is some tasty food. Okay, that was That was not the button. That was not the button that I wanted to press. Okay. I'm still getting used to this whole, like, drawing, Google Earth setup, all these things. Chris, have you done this before? I've done Google Earth a lot, but now I've got this cool Telestrator feature where we can draw on it. So I hope you're enjoying my drawing. I want to go back here to Morro Bay and talk about this for a moment. What's cool about Morro Bay and what Morro Bay is most known for. Morro Bay is most known for this thing called the Morro Rock. You can see that rock that I just put the circle around, and the Morro Rock is a really big rock. That is that is not a good picture of the rock. Let's see if this opens. Okay, Morro Bay, come get salty. I don't need that anymore. The Google Earth web browser, not very good. This should probably be a picture of a rock. Here, let's try to open that in Google Chrome. Okay, yeah, here we go. This shows you that big rock that was there. Well, it did at the beginning of the video anyway. It's really neat, it's huge. It's a big rock that you look out on this bay. Just kind of a fun seaside community, and a cool beach too. Okay, back to Google Earth. In the chat, why am I laughing? Jonathan says, hello, my name is Dory, and I suffer from short-term memory loss. Hello, Dory. It's from Finding Nemo, in case you didn't get the reference. Thank you very much. Jennified gives a thumbs up for the Madonna Inn. Thank you for the +1 on that one. Jennified, Kathy says, if you were enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. Really helps me, supports the channel, lets YouTube know you're enjoying the video so that they can spread this video to more people. And Janelle says she loves following along with the map. All right, fantastic, Janelle. Thank you. All right, so zooming out. Kind of a fun visit too if you like visiting like universities or colleges along the way. In San Luis Obispo, they have California Polytechnic State University, San Luis Obispo, known as Cal Poly SLO. San Luis Obispo SLO, S-L-O. So that's a fun campus to check out. Downtown San Luis Obispo, one of my memorable things from there, I should have found the picture to put in here, but it was when my mom and I went there, maybe a decade ago, we saw a guy walking down the street, and he had like riding a skateboard, he had a dog, and on top of the dog was a cat, and on top of the dog was a mouse. I kid you not. This was not a cartoon. I'm not making it up. On a skateboard, a dog on top of the dog, a cat was standing on top of the dog, and a mouse was standing on top of the cat. So that just tells you a little bit about the community of San Luis Obispo. All right. So now going south from San Luis Obispo, we get into few different, this is where the 1 and the 101 diverge a little bit, right? You can see the 1 comes this way, the 101 comes this way. Another restaurant that I would tell you to mark on your list if you like beef, particularly if you like steaks, is here in Nipomo, California. In Nipomo, California, there is a restaurant called Jocko's. And let's go ahead and zoom in and see if Google Earth is cool enough to pull up Jocko's for us. No, they're cool enough to pull up Vaughn's for us. I'm sort of not interested in Vaughn's. So here we go. We get Jocko's. And Jocko's is like one of these, like, it feels like, here we go over here. It feels like it's a super tiny little building, and it feels kind of like a dive bar, but they are super famous for their steak over a wood grill. So Jocko Steakhouse, red oak coals cook our steaks. It's like this old pit here. What do they tell you? But they don't open early. So if you're here, it's like 4 o'clock. It's kind of a dinner thing, or it opens late for lunch. Anyway, Jocko's. Delicious, but like real divey steakhouse dining. So don't expect any white tablecloths or things like that. Expect some barely functional furniture and some places that people stop with a lot of their motorcycles. Okay, so now going south from San Luis Obispo. Oh, there was one I forgot. Pismo Beach. How could I forget Pismo Beach? Pismo Beach is another cool little beach town right here. What Pismo Beach is famous for? Pismo Beach is famous for clamming. You can see in the water right here, they might have some clams, but there is a famous Pismo clam statue. There's like a place that has like a clam that you can take a picture with it. Anyway, that's a cool, fun stop, is to find the clam. Where's the clam now? Well, I don't know that I can find the Pismo Beach clam on this map. It's been a while since I took the picture. But you can drive right up to it, and you can find the clam. So do that. That's your iconic picture of Pismo Beach. And if you're there in the right season, then you can go clamming. All right. So now, south of here, along the coast, you'll notice that the highways don't follow the coast anymore. Like, the one is inland from the coast. What is up with that? What is up with that are these words right here. The Vandenberg Space Force Base. This whole area right here is a big military base. This is where they do the West Coast launches of spacecraft. So when SpaceX is launching a bunch of their stuff, they're launching it here out of Vandenberg. If you are a space buff and you're here at the right time, you can see them launch rockets out of Vandenberg, which is a lot of fun. Okay. Henry, thank you for your support. Henry says, hey, Chris, have you ever explored Half Moon Bay just outside San Francisco and its neighboring parts like Moss Beach Distillery, which is supposedly haunted but with great ocean views? What are your thoughts? Henry, I probably have not spent enough time in Half Moon Bay. It tends to just be a place that I stop for a brief view and then continue onwards, but I've heard great things about people who have stopped in Half Moon Bay. Another haunted place that I recommend is in San Jose. There is the Winchester Mystery House, which is owned by Mrs. Winchester, the wife of the guy who invented the Winchester rifle. She believed she was haunted by ghosts of all the people that were killed by the rifle, and so she believed that if she kept building on her house, that the ghosts wouldn't bother her. And so it's this house that has like hundreds of rooms and stairs to nowhere, and you can imagine what a house would look like if people kept building on it. So that's a great stop on your way in and out of the San Jose, southern San Francisco Bay Area. Edith also says Pismo Beach is famous for its monarch butterflies. And Points Traveler says it's amazing you can remember all these restaurants. I like my food, Points Traveler. So there we go. Okay. So next up, we've got this cool town that's like, this is where if you're doing the one this way, a detour off the one that I would recommend for you is to actually detour and come up here to the town of Solvang. Solvang is a kind of like unique Dutch settlement, Dutch city, Dutch colony, you could say. In Solvang, there's like windmills and Danish bakeries. It's a cool, small, quaint little town. But we can see here this, let's see, Olsen's Danish Village Bakery. Yeah, like old school Danish bakery where you can pick up Danishes. You can pick up lots of food from Denmark around here. There's like windmills and things like that. So this is a fun stop to spend like an afternoon in. And it neighbors the neighboring Santa Ynez Valley over here, which is definitely a popular kind of like wine tasting region. You'll also find like olive oil in this area too. So if you didn't get your wine tasting in Napa or Sonoma, do it here around Solvang. Okay, so then this is another spot right here, Las Cruces, where the 101 and the 1 converge. And so if we continue onwards south. By the way, I say south. Do you notice the coast changed directions here? This is kind of one to pay attention to. This way, these beaches generally face west. And then at Vandenberg Air Force Base, at this point right here, now the beaches face south. They're south-facing beaches. So if you're at beaches in Santa Barbara and you're like, want the sunset over the sand, they're not going to be there because the beaches of Santa Barbara face south instead of facing west. And it can also be a little bit confusing because the road that you're driving on here has now like turned directions. You know, you thought perhaps you were on the 1 and you were driving south the whole time and you keep driving, but now all of a sudden you are driving east. So you just might have to get that through your head on your drive that it does make this right angle turn. Santa Barbara, oh, that point is known as Point Concepcion. That's kind of like the point that people reference right there as that point that, you know, California makes the bend. Okay. Santa Barbara, like, County is generally known as, let me scoot this over here so you can see all this up this way. All right. Yep. All right, there. So this is like Santa Barbara County, and then you can see like the city of Santa Barbara is right there. But all these like other little neighborhoods kind of make up the Santa Barbara region. Santa Barbara really feels cut off from the rest of the world because there's high mountains to the back. So it really has this own like unique coastal feel to it. It is a Spanish vibe of a city. So downtown Santa Barbara actually has a requirement that the buildings in the historic area maintain the red tiled roofs. Do you see all these red tiled roofs right here? So it's pretty cool to walk through the downtown. The main street through downtown, which is that comes from the pier right here. This street, State Street, from a few blocks from the pier becomes pedestrian only. Lots of cool shops and restaurants around here. The Amtrak train also makes a stop here in Santa Barbara. So if you weren't driving and you were training, you can do that right there. Santa Barbara is also famous for its uni, or its sea urchin. They've got I'd call it the main touristy wharf here, the Santa Barbara Shellfish Company at the end of the pier. You can get a lot of great seafood, including sea urchin. Over at this other part over here at this little pier, by the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum and this place called Brophy Bros. They have this Santa Barbara Fish Market, where then on Saturdays they have a Santa Barbara Seafood Market where fishermen just like off their boats right here, like bring the seafood right off their boats and sell it from tables right along this pier. So if you're looking for some of the freshest seafood around, you are going to find it here in Santa Barbara. Definitely, if you're a seafood lover, you will enjoy the food in Santa Barbara. It's expensive, though. Hotels in Santa Barbara are expensive, though. Santa Barbara is often known as the American Riviera. And this is one that you'll want to book your hotels up early. And I think it is one where it is worthwhile to spend a little bit of the extra money and get your hotel, somewhere around here in the red brick tops. We've stayed before in like over here at the Hotel Virginia, and then we've also stayed, I said it was a DoubleTree, and I'll put this in the planning link in the description for the archive, in the Hilton Santa Barbara beachfront. I called it the DoubleTree before, but that's a really cool hotel that's like right there on the beach. So if you wanted to enjoy the beaches here, that's probably one of the best hotels to stay at because you can just walk across the street to the beach. Super big hotel too. Okay. Before I continue on from Santa Barbara, I want to hit some comments in the chat. Brandon says, Santa Barbara would be a place I would love to see. You would enjoy it, Brandon. We've got a full travel guide on Santa Barbara as well if you're headed there. Danielle says, Solvang was settled by Danish settlers in the 1800s. Members of the Danish royal family have actually visited Solvang. That's really cool. That's neat to know. Wu-Tang Life says, what about renting a camper van? You have to be careful about places to park, Wu-Tang Life. You'll probably need to look at like campgrounds to park your camper van, but that's certainly a popular way to go up and down the coast too. Fong says, we stayed at the Hotel Inez in Santa Ynez, and it was amazing. Thank you for that suggestion. Rich says, the Winchester House was interesting. The kids loved it, especially the basement. Thank you for that recommendation. Henry says, on a road trip like this, Pillar Point Bluff Trail is also a great hidden gem. Super underrated hike with coastal views. Thank you for the suggestion, Henry. And Jonathan says, in the valley, sometimes the 101 is signed as the 101 West and East. Is that more confusing or less confusing? So there we go. Ilona recommends Queen Cup Coffee. Lots of love for Solvang, love for Pismo Beach. And then back here, Danielle says Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and Cal Poly Pomona built some of the best floats for the Tournament of Roses in the Rose Parade, classic Rose Parade in Pasadena. And Janelle says that Hilton is luxe. That Hilton is luxe. It's a pretty nice Hilton. Expensive room rates too. Yeah, when I say expensive room rates, like Santa Barbara, you're not going to get much for less than $300 a night. Like it is an expensive beach community. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our maps and continue onwards from Santa Barbara. Oh, Santa Barbara is also where the Habit started. If you're a fan of burgers and you've eaten at the Habit burger chain, you'll find the original Habit Burger. Let's see, Habit Burger Grill. But it's not the one. It's not the one on State Street in Santa Barbara. It's this one. It's this one over here. Right here. This one in... No, not Isla Vista. Is that the original one? Goleta? Something like that. That one's by UC Santa Barbara. The original one is this one here. Habit Burger Grill. This one in Goleta. This is the original Habit Burger location. Check that out. The other cool thing to eat in Santa Barbara is McConnell's ice cream. Some of the best ice cream I've had, like gelato's really good, but they make really good ice cream. They use a lot of fresh fruits at McConnell's. They have 2 locations on State Street. One that's up here and one that's down here. That one that's the one at the top is their like flagship location, and the one that's down at the bottom is the one that's closer to the beach. That one that's closer to the beach is just, as you can see, like a couple blocks from the beach right there. You get the 5 flavor sampler. Definitely make sure you get the strawberry flavor. We also like the churro flavor. Beep. Okay. Now we're really going to continue on from Santa Barbara. So there's also like these cool beach communities. We've got Carpinteria over here. Continuing onwards down this way. Now, when we get to Ventura, California, this is where I'd say like you kind of start to get into the outskirts of Los Angeles as you get into Ventura. It's not really LA, but I'll be like, it's civilization again. Like the rest of California we were at was like much more rural, much more beachy, much more relaxed. Ventura, you start to get the industry in again, things like that. You can see like Ventura has like a pretty big like flat land over here, and Los Angeles is all about flat land. So wherever there's flat land, you're going to get a bit of that urban sprawl. Ventura is a good overnight spot because you're going to find the hotels to be more reasonable prices in Ventura. It's about an hour-ish from Santa Barbara. There's a cool pier in Ventura that you can see right here. And there's also the neighboring community of Oxnard down here. And then the Channel Islands Harbor. What's interesting about this is that if you are a nature lover, then you might enjoy checking out the Channel Islands. So from here in Oxnard, you can take a ferry out to the Channel Islands National Park. Probably one of the least visited national parks in the USA because it's a set of islands. There's a few of them. There's a few different islands, and the only way you can get to these islands is by a ferry from Oxnard or the Channel Islands harbor. Great place to camp overnight. If you like really remote, primitive camping, ain't nothing on those islands except campgrounds for you to relax and enjoy and see the nature. Okay. Coming on more as we come out of Ventura or Oxnard. This is another one where you decide, do I take the 101 that goes this way, or do I take the one that goes this way? And this goes back on the, again, we sort of continue to go east and west. That's over here. If you're doing this as the scenic drive, then definitely the drive that you should do is the one that is here through Malibu. It's really beautiful. If you're tired of driving at this point, or the traffic's really rough, or you just want to get to where you're going, then you just go along the 101 this way. It's a lot faster, because you should know that when you're going through Malibu, if you're hungry, there is not a lot of food. Note that probably at the time I am doing this video, the Pacific Coast Highway through Malibu, there are still sections of it that are closed, but within like a week or two, should be open. So if you're watching this to plan anything, chances are it's back open again. But as we've heard earlier, there are mudslides and a lot of things in Malibu that can often close it again. So make sure you do check the road conditions before you go. So Malibu has a famous pier. There's also one of my favorite places to stop in Malibu. So if you're driving through and you kind of want like a cool coastal hike, you can stop in at this thing called Point Doom. It's a neat point there at the end of Malibu. There's this beach called Zuma Beach that's over here. There's not much to park on the top of Point Doom, but there's a ton of beach parking that's right here along the beach. Then you can hike up to this point, and you can hike down to this little beach that's over here. So that's a fun little hike. And then as we continue our way through Malibu, you can see Malibu. Who are the rich and famous live? This is where the stars live. This is where people like Pamela Anderson live. There is a pier in Malibu. There's very limited parking at this pier. If you want to park, you're going to spend like $20 plus to park in this little lot that they valet park your car over here. There's a Malibu Farm restaurant that's on the pier. It's going to cost you a lot of money to eat at that cafe because you're dining where the rich and famous dine. Okay, continuing on past Malibu, what I want to show you is I want to show you the Getty Villa. Where do we put the Getty Villa? Here, we're going to search for the Getty Villa. It all starts to look the same from the top. There are two Getty museums. There's the famous Getty Museum, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, but we're going to take a look at the Getty Villa. The Getty Villa right here, J. Paul Getty, rich guy, art collector. This was a house that he was building in the Malibu area. Yes, everybody's heard about the fires, right? There were big fires in Malibu in the Pacific Palisades. Getty Villa survived all of the fires. So this is a really neat museum house to check out. He built it like an Italian villa. So you can see there's like this kind of like, like pool in the middle. There's lots of art through there. There's lots of statues in there. They have a cafe. If you want to go there, admission's free, but you do have to like make a reservation for parking, and then they charge you for parking. So make sure you get the reservation for parking to make sure you can go there and you don't get turned away at the gate because you don't have a reservation to park because the parking is the limited piece. Okay, this is not the main museum. There is a bunch of art here, but the main museum is actually Getty Center, the Getty, as they call it. We're going to let this fly over to where that is. The Getty, and then we're going to zoom out after we get to the Getty. The Getty Center right here, this is on this hill that overlooks all of LA. This is along the Interstate 405 freeway. You can see it's inland just a little bit from Malibu. This was the one this way. This is the 101. It continues this way into downtown Los Angeles. The 405 is the big highway that tees off along the coast. If you want to go to the Getty, then you can either continue on the 1 through Santa Monica and go up there, or you can go around the 101 and down to the 405. Same deal at the Getty. You need to reserve the parking. Admission is free. One of the world's best art museums. Check it out if you're an art lover. Okay. So, Los Angeles. We as you come through Malibu, then you'll come to Santa Monica. In Santa Monica here. Santa Monica is home to the famous Santa Monica Pier. The Santa Monica Pier is a big pier that has an amusement park on it over the ocean. It has a roller coaster over the ocean. It has a Ferris wheel on the ocean. It is the end of the Route 66. So the Route 66 from Chicago to LA ends right here. And there's like a little sign here at the end that says like the end of the Route 66. This video is not going to cover all the things to do in Los Angeles because if I did, this video would become way too long. Know that if you are going to Los Angeles, I have a full travel guide for you on Los Angeles. I'm going to point out a couple of quick coastal stops in Los Angeles and major attractions as we make our way to San Diego to end the road trip here. LAX Airport. Well, I should say, so south of Santa Monica is Venice Beach. This is the famous Venice Beach Boardwalk that actually more people visit than visit Disneyland. Crazy to tell you. If you're going to do the Venice Beach Boardwalk, daytime attraction. Kind of sketchy at nighttime. LAX Airport is right here. Super big airport. But, again, you could fly in, you could fly out. SoFi Stadium, where they do a lot of the sporting events, is just right over there by LAX Airport. Okay, going south from LAX, a lot of different beach communities. We get Rancho Palos Verdes that's over here. This whole area, this is the port of Long Beach. This is a big shipping area. This is also a big cruise ship area. If you are taking a cruise in and out of Los Angeles, likely your cruise ship will be coming in and out of here. There is the cool Queen Mary over here, which was one of the ships in the Titanic class, now a museum that you can go see. Continuing onwards south in this coast of Los Angeles, we begin right about here. You go from the border of Los Angeles County to Orange County. So my home is down here in Orange County. Orange County considered suburban Los Angeles. We've got the beach community of Huntington State Beach, known as Surf City, USA. If you like to surf, that is one of the best places in Southern California to surf. As we continue on south, there is the famous Newport Beach right here. This is one of the most expensive coastal communities in the USA. Definitely check out this little island on it right here called Balboa Island if you want to see where the rich of the rich live. Laguna Beach, just continuing down south even more, is a little artsy enclave. Has a bit of a vibe similar to Santa Barbara, just not as cut off from the world. If you're looking for a hotel that is on the sand, Laguna Beach has 7 different hotels that's on the sand. If money is no object for you, check out the Montage Hotel in Laguna Beach. Rooms there tend to start at like $700 or $800, but they have a really amazing beach right out in front of there. Down here in Dana Point, there's a cool, or actually technically Monarch Beach. There's a cool Ritz-Carlton. There's a Monarch Beach Hotel. When Lucy Girl and I got married, this is where we spent our honeymoon night in Laguna Beach, and we had our wedding reception. We had our honeymoon night in Monarch Beach because we had our wedding reception in Laguna Beach right there before flying out to Japan. Okay, that's Japan. Japan with an accent. Okay. Going south, the last city in Orange County is this kind of sleepy beach town called San Clemente, and then we get 18 miles of nothing along the coast because this is home to Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton. So make sure you get gas before you get on there because there's no gas stations on that 18 miles of the coastline. And then we end up in San Diego County. By the way, as you go through Camp Pendleton, the Pacific Coast Highway 101-5, everything's merged onto the 5 at that point. When you get into San Diego, you tend to lose many of those designations because the Interstate 5 runs so close to the coast. You can see that main highway right there. But there is the coastal route, which is sometimes signed the 1, the 101, the PCH, Pacific Highway. It has all those names in different cities in San Diego. Things to point out in San Diego. In Carlsbad up here, that is home to Legoland. And then going down south even further, one of the most beautiful beaches is La Jolla, known as the Gem. Here in Mission Bay is where you will find SeaWorld San Diego. Mission Beach is probably the most popular beach in San Diego. Mission Beach combined with Pacific Beach for the party goers. La Jolla probably has a bit more of the family goers. And then a beach that has been often named one of the best beaches in the USA is Coronado Beach. That's right here on this little island of Coronado. And finally, one of San Diego's also most popular attractions, zooming in right here in the downtown area. Can I just move that? Move the circle to it. Right there is the USS Midway Aircraft Museum, Aircraft Carrier Museum. That is a former aircraft carrier that's now been turned into a museum that you can go on to. By the way, you'll see over here an actual aircraft carrier. So San Diego is home to the West Coast aircraft carrier fleet. There's real aircraft carriers on that side that you can't go on, but the Midway that's on this side, you totally can go on. This area here, downtown San Diego, has a neat area called the Gaslamp District, which has a lot of restaurants and bars and kind of a party town. The Amtrak train will also drop you off right here at Santa Fe Station if you were taking your trains and planes around. Okay, I want to go ahead and zoom out and share just 2 more thoughts before we go into Q&A. We talked about going into Mexico. So let's go ahead and do the zoom out right here. If you were going to continue this journey on to Mexico, Tijuana is the border town right here. Skip Tijuana. Rosarito, kind of a cool beach town, famous for its lobsters, but continue on to Ensenada right down there. That's where you're going to find a bit more of the real Mexico, not just the gritty, grimy, touristy town. Other places that people often continue their journey from San Diego is they often continue along the Interstate. Can you see Phoenix on this map? I need to scoot over. They often continue along the Interstate 8 freeway and then go up to Phoenix right there, or they continue over to Tucson over this way. If you were to go from San Diego to Phoenix, then you can come back on the 10. Joshua Tree National Park is here. Palm Springs is here. You could take that back into LA. Or if you were going to Las Vegas, then you would head up. Let me see Lake Mead. We see Las Vegas up here. Trying to find the 15. The 15 right here. The Interstate 15 will take you right there to Las Vegas. Roughly a 4-hour drive from Los Angeles, or about a 5-hour drive from San Diego. Well, all right, fellow explorers, that is a bunch of lines on my face. That is everything you need to know to plan an iconic California road trip. If I missed one of your favorite stops, restaurants, hotels, please let me know what some of your favorite places to stop are. And now we're going to go to Q&A.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
All right. So Jonathan says, if you go to Lake Tahoe, you're adding at least another 4 to 5 hours on your trip one way. I would not recommend it if you're driving from San Francisco to LA. I mean, unless you're taking a week or two, right? We've turned this into a road trip, so, you know, that's where it could be a great 2 weeks that you spend in California. Janelle says, this is a fantastic video, adding it to the bucket list. Point Charlie says, if you ever lived outside of California, I spent a year living in the Washington, D.C. area. And I travel so much that sometimes it feels like I do live outside of California. But yes, I've spent most of my life in Southern California, born and raised in San Diego, now living in Orange County. Han says, Chris, is there a hotel in Pasadena where I can see the Rose Parade through my room window? No thanks to camping on the sidewalk. Han, I feel like there probably would be, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head. But I bet if you search that and search like Reddit or some threads or something like that, I bet you would find something. Jonathan says, I recommend making another California road trip video going on the 101 or the 5. The video on PCH is too similar to your California travel planning guide. Well, Jonathan, you know, here's the thing about videos that are like a year or 2 or 3 old. People don't watch them anymore. So there we go. I've also got my cool Highway 99 road trip, which if you want to see what the almond blossoms look like, I did that one like all vlog style, where we went from Bakersfield up to basically like the Sacramento area and then back. So you can check that out too if you want to see what that looks like during almond blossom time. Dallas says, do you have plans for a Canadian trip? Definitely. We got more Canada to explore. We've done Vancouver a number of times. We recently did Banff and Calgary. We want to get over to see Montreal next. I think that'll be a lot of fun in Quebec. The Wandering Jake says, I thought you were a Las Vegas local. A lot of people think that because I make a lot of videos on Las Vegas. But as you see, it's just a 4-hour drive for me to Las Vegas. So pretty easy to get over there. James says, is a week to 10 days enough to explore the PCH? I think so. I think that's a good amount of time, James. Alex says, I thought of an interesting question. What's the strangest hotel decor you've seen? I stayed at a hotel in Eugene that they had waffle iron lamps. Nike founders used waffle irons to make soles in the early days. Alex, that is pretty weird. That is pretty weird for sure. I tend not to stay in like really strange places. Yeah, I guess I tend to like more normal things. I'll have to think about that one for a little more. Dre says, would you recommend this with a toddler and an infant? Hoping to visit this summer? Absolutely. We've taken our daughter on portions of this trip from every which different way. Here's going to be the funny thing. To be like, I've actually never done the whole trip in one drive because we live around here. So we'll do like the portion of it from here up to Hearst Castle and then come home, and then we'll fly out to San Jose and do another one that comes back that way and goes back that way. We've done it every which way under the sun, but we've actually never done the whole thing all at once. You know, we've done Highway 99 up and back and all these things. Henry, again, thank you for your support, Henry. Henry says, I've read that the California high-speed rail project envisioned to connect San Francisco to LA has faced significant delays. Thoughts? Henry, it has indeed. When we did our Highway 99 adventure a couple years ago, we saw the they're building the California high-speed rail. We saw the viaducts, the tracks, things like that. They're in the middle of nowhere right now. I'm excited about it because I generally think it would be cool to take the high-speed rail from LA to San Francisco. We just need to keep going. We need to keep going. The things that make it cost more, all of the ridiculous policy, bureaucratic things, all that stuff. But we can't give up because I've ridden the trains. I've ridden the bullet trains in Japan, and they're amazing, and we can get there too. We just need to build it. We need to build it. Rob asks if I like Casa de Fruta. I've never been to Casa de Fruta. Theo says, what's your personal favorite theme park in California? Disneyland is my personal favorite theme park in California. What about yours, Theo? What's yours? Electric Rick says he loves all the new yellow lines on the map. Thank you, Electric Rick. There is a smiley face for you. In case any of you regulars or live stream geeks are wondering how this all works. So I use vMix to do this live stream, and they have this new feature in vMix called the Telestrator. This is the Telestrator, which this is an iPad, and this is the Apple Pencil. And so on this Telestrator, I can draw things on it, and then it draws it on the screen. There we go. So we can put that over there. We can put a question mark over here. So that's how we get all those lines on there. We can clear it. We can change the colors. We can do different things. We can draw different shapes. We can draw squares. So we could. This is kind of an interesting feature. We can draw numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Okay, that's your behind the scenes of Chris's lines. Whoa. Okay. Now my iPad is falling down. All right, not falling down anymore. Good. Whoop. Jonathan says if you drive LA to San Francisco via the 5 and pass through San Jose, you'll pass by. All right, I've never stopped there. So there we go. Thank you for letting me know where that is. Brandon says live stream set. It's like Inception. Which layer of the live stream we're in? We're in so many different things. Theo's favorite theme park is Magic Mountain. Magic Mountain's really fun if you like roller coasters. I like Magic Mountain too. Edith says, which beach do you feel is best for young children to actually play safely at the ocean's edge? Coronado. Waves are pretty small out there. Coronado, La Jolla Shores, Newport Beach. The waves are often pretty small. In Dana Point, there's a beach called like Baby Beach or something like that, which is like in the harbor. That's pretty good. Those are my recommendations. Like, I think the best beaches in California, they're the southern beaches in Orange County and in San Diego. The water's warmer the more south you go. So there you go. Rob's is the club at SFO. Nice. I've been thinking about Party Pass, but I don't know it's worth it. I have never been in the club at SFO. I'm generally in the United Lounges or the Amex Centurion Lounge. So I don't know about that one. Dirty Jim and the boys says Crystal Cove or Laguna Beach. Traveling to Orange County next week for chill, quiet, with easy parking. Crystal Cove is generally going to be your place that is chill, quiet, and easy parking. You have to pay for your parking in Crystal Cove, but Crystal Cove is a state park. Much more chill, pushed off from the highway. Pretty neat. If you can't, there's like a number of different parking lots in Crystal Cove, so take a look and find the one that isn't busy. If you haven't watched it yet, I have a Crystal Cove video. I have a Laguna Beach video, so you can watch the two of them and choose. Jonathan says, between PCH, the 101, the 5, and the 99, what is your favorite route to drive from San Francisco to LA and why? PCH. I love the ocean. I love the ocean view. So that's that is why I made this video. Tend to focus on PCH because that's my favorite drive. I think next I would take the 99 because I think it's cool just to drive through the farmland and drive through all these little kind of like farmish towns. And I think the food is better. Like more local food on the 99, where I feel like if you drive on the 5, it just is one of those that just like, you're just there with all the truckers and it just compels you to kind of like go and not really like stop into any quaint things. Alex says if you go to Crystal Cove, stop at the Shake Shack. Not the Shake Shack from New York, but yes, there's a place in Crystal Cove called the Crystal Cove Shake Shack. It's a restaurant that's set on top of the bluff. One of the best places to have a sunset hamburger and shake. The parking lot's tiny, so don't try to drive and park there. Park in one of the big Crystal Cove parking lots and then walk over there for your sunset dinner. Rob agrees with me that the 5 is just fast food. Jennified says, every time we pass Crystal Cove, I think of your family. As you said, it was your favorite beach. We enjoy Crystal Cove for sure. We tend to go there most of all the beaches. After Crystal Cove, we probably go to Corona Del Mar second. Laguna Beach 3rd, and Newport Beach 4th as our beaches. And probably just for proximity as to where we live, too, for our beaches in Orange County. Yes, Pierce says Little Corona Del Mar Beach. In fact, Little Corona Del Mar Beach is the beach that we go in Corona Del Mar. If you're in Newport Beach, there's Corona Del Mar State Beach. There's a big parking lot that's on the sand, and then there's this beach that's right next to it that you park in the neighborhood, and you kind of like walk down this windy road called Little Corona Del Mar Beach. Local secret, small beach, but it's one of those that like it is completely removed from traffic and all that stuff, and so really the world just melts away, and it's like you at the sand. Okay. Rob says, out of San Francisco, San Jose, and LAX airport, what would you choose? Loaded question. So it depends where I'm going, where I'm coming from, this and that. Of those 3 airports, my favorite is San Jose. I love San Jose Airport. I love the rental car pickup is right across from San Jose Airport. I don't love SFO Airport because it's choked in fog all the time. Like, as an airport, it's a better airport. Like, it's nicer and things like that, but the rental cars are further away. You got to take a shuttle to get to them. There's always fog delays. So I like LAX better than SFO from that perspective. I don't have to worry about the fog delays, but LAX, like, really is the pits to get in and out of. Like, the horseshoe with all the traffic's really awful. I feel like when LAX builds their people mover train through the middle, it's going to get a lot better, but right now I would pick SJC. If I was coming from somewhere and going into California, it didn't matter where I go, and I just want the best airport, San Jose. Mandalix says, any place to fly a drone in OC legally you'd suggest? There's a number of places to fly drones legally in Orange County. I'd probably have to open the DJI app to tell me what all those are. But I've seen a lot of cool footage around Dana Point and things like that. As long as you stay away from the airports and you stay away from the military stuff, then you're cool. So there we go. So I would say like Dana Point Harbor. Alex says, SFO is my favorite major airport outside of the fog delay. If only there was no fog, it would be perfect, right? Except I've missed too many flights over the fog in San Francisco. Jonathan says, although my parents live much closer to SFO, they prefer SJC over SFO, probably for that reason. And don't forget In-N-Out. In-N-Out, what should I not forget? I never forget In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger is always in my heart. All right. Arte says, great video. Thanks. All right, on that note, let's go to the giveaway.
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, as with any video, I always give away on my live streams a Yellow Productions Crew shirt to somebody who can answer one of my questions on something I talked about in the video. And I guess since somebody said, hey, don't forget about In-N-Out Burger, my question to you is going to be, I talked about one In-N-Out Burger in one particular city. What city did I talk about the In-N-Out Burger that I actually pulled up the picture of that In-N-Out Burger? If you're the first person to name that city, you will win a Yellow Productions Crew shirt shipped to you anywhere in the world. And if you don't get to win one and you want to buy one, you can pick one up from the Yellow Productions shop. The link is right here or in the description below. And if you wonder, Chris, when is the next live stream? You can head over to the Yellow Productions update, sign up for my email list, and I will send you an email as soon as I know the time and the date and the topic, so you never miss a live stream.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
All right, congratulations to Paul, Seaside, California. Yes, that is the location of the In-N-Out Burger that I said. That's your last In-N-Out Burger before you get down to Big Sur, and you'll be really hungry if you don't eat there. So, Paul, send me an email to chris@yellow-productions.com. You'll find a link to that in the description. Let me know your address and your size, and I will get that shirt headed right out to you. Fellow explorers, as always, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. If you did not give this video a thumbs up yet, please do so on your way out, because it really helps the channel. Thank you to Henry for the multiple super chats in this video. Thank you to all of my channel members for supporting the channel, and thank you to all of you that come back week after week for these live streams. I really appreciate seeing you. It tickles my heart when we start these things and people go, hey Chris, hello, I'm from here, I'm from there. I love to see all of you. The highlight of my week Just being able to spend this hour with you. All right, well, fellow explorers, as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'm going to see you in the next video.